This meeting is being.
Okay, so starting back over again, this is local LLMs for fun and hopefully saving profit. This is Central Iowa Linux Users Group, not St. Louis, and today is not August the 13th. But other than that, everything else should be mostly accurate. A little bit about me. I somehow still am the president of the Linux group, and I've been doing Linux for longer than I'd like to almost admit. But yeah, somehow I'm still a novice, and we're still just muddling our way through. Uh, yeah. Uh, the description on what I was pitching this at is whether or not this is maybe a little bit overselling it, but we're going to go through and discover the joys of running large language models without breaking the bank. We're going to set up Ollama if you're using any of the other fun ones out there. It's pretty much almost the same exact experience, just a little different. You're smart. It's not that hard. Um, but we'll use local models for practical tasks, experimentation, and maybe even a few cost-saving wins, like having it write your code for you in vibe coding. And it will do absolutely horrible unless we roll the dice right and things are better, because we'll do a fun little experiment to see if we can get it to give us the first 100 digits of pi, a very simple thing. But the last time I tried, it just took the pi variable and just started spitting out bits of it. And that works great, except for the fact that it's a float. And 100 digits, it doesn't have. So we'll also look about what happens if you only have a potato for a GPU and you want to outsource some of your work. Ollama has some folks that will happily take your money to give you a GPU-like object in the cloud. And like I said, we'll set up VS Code and some other fun stuff along the way. So hopefully this will be full of energy and yeah, or something like that. So just to manage your expectations, this talk is not perfectly polished. If you came here expecting to hear a talk from me that was polished, you're in the wrong spot. Uh, I'm not a true expert. I just pretend to play one on TV. And we're going to have, if, unless the demo gods are truly pleased and happy, we're going to have a bunch of fun shenanigans along the way here. But it's a good starting point. It gives you a talk where I've got a Ryzen 7 box that we're going to be running this on. So it's not super high performance hardware. We just have a little bit of memory, and it fits in the size of a little bit bigger than a deck of cards. So I wouldn't get overly hopeful that performance is going to be great. And this was whipped up on a Saturday, presenting on a Wednesday, and there's not been a great deal of polishing since then, so it's still a little bit rough. That's what happens when St. Louis asks for something and gives you only a couple days to prepare it. So yay, here we are. Uh, First off, in case you've been living under a rock, what is a large language model? It's sort of a large model that's been trained off of a huge corpus of information. Basically, think of it as taking like the whole Library of Congress, cutting the ends off the spines of the book and scanning them in, because not like any of the large language purveyors have done that sort of thing before. Uh, it's using transformer neural networks. Uh, we can dive into a whole nother hour-long talk about what that is later. Basically, just think of it has a huge, long uh, bunch of little compute neurons, and data is being passed along there. It's usually in the billions upon trillions of parameters. Normally, it started out really as text, but some will be able to handle images, audio, or even code, or languages, and all sorts of stuff like that, just depending on what it's been trained on. And what it can do, it can kind of understand context and intent in your language and generate semi-coherent, natural sounding text out of it. It'll answer information, write code, and do a whole bunch of other stuff. And you can have whole-on conversations. Hopefully you're not getting psychological advice from it, because apparently that's rather dangerous if you've been watching the news lately. But you can have multi-turn and reasoning talks. Why are we talking about large? It fits the big part of data. Most of the really big ones won't fit on anything less than a big rack full of computing. And I am going to mute Will here while I'm trying to present, because I can see that he's
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
fun heckling. So anyway, though, yeah, so it's the big D's. It's the veracity, the velocity, basically it's big. You know it when you see it. And it allows you to do broad generalizations and deep understanding compared to the early on ones. One of the big things that you'll hear people talk about are tokens. What are they? They can be a word, subwords, unfreaking believable. New York City, they can be multi-words. Basically, they're the unit of work that the model will process. How many of them you have will be how you figure out how much something costs, and also how much you can fit in there. Because, like, say, for example, an image in Gemini is roughly 250 tokens wide, if it's the size that it's designed to work off of. Now, you can have bigger images than that. It will scan across. We'll get into that in a little bit here. But let's look at some of how tokens are made. For example, the phrase "New York City is bustling. Now is the time for all good to come to the aid of their party." If you look here, most of it is a word thing. Really, the only thing that I was able to find in this particular set of test code was the period and quote end up being their same thing. Now, we see words kind of like the matrix. The LLM actually just sees numbers that are projected into a vector space. And in theory, as you work through the stages of the transformer, like numbers are grouped together. Now, how that actually looks in the real world, figuring from these numbers, good luck. It's voodoo magic as far as I'm concerned, but that's an exercise for deep magic that and math that I'm not very good at. So, but that sort of leads you to, you'll hear people talk a lot about the stochastic parrot. Emily M., where does this come from? Emily M. Bender et al. In a 2021 paper wrote on the dangers of stochastic parrots. Can language models be too big? Basically, it's a random deterministic phrase that is talking about how LLMs work on the fact that words are associated together. They generate by basically predicting the next word in a big fun game of Mad Libs. And the parrot, why a parrot? Basically, it's emphasizing the idea that LLMs can mimic human language, but they don't actually really truly understand what's happening under the hood ish, is the big argument, even though it feels like they do. And some of the arguments for like reasoning models, it really feels like they do, but their whole argument is that they're not real. They're not really people. They don't have feelings. If you cuss them out, Siri isn't going to tell you that, or Alexa isn't going to tell you that it's only an assistant, but words have real feelings, and it hurts her feelings to do that. Don't anthropomorphize them. They hate that. But I'd recommend reading the paper. I've got a link to the downloads in the slide deck notes. I'll share them out after the group. But yeah, it's an interesting read, if not maybe a little bit dated. And tokens lead to the fun sort of tripping up of the model that everyone's all seen. How many R's are in the word strawberry? It will straight up gaslight you because of how the tokens end up dividing out, and just the fact that, yeah, the strawberry contains two R's because of course it's grouping them together in some weird way and counting is hard, and that's really not what LLMs are good at. So eventually, in theory, uh, enough times people will ask this, the data will make it into the corpus of training, and in theory, it will get it right. But in the end, remember, you're just going off of essentially, especially when you're vibe coding, you're working on someone that got trained by reading Stack Overflow. So, yeah, good luck.
Hold on, question. Were they trained on Stack Overflow questions or answers?
A little bit of both.
The whole page.
Yeah, it just read the whole page.
Oh no.
And Stack Exchange and.
And yeah, basically they've been.
I
hoovering
would
up-
say, Andy, that part of it, you could look at the vectors as kind of maybe part of the answer side, and the tokens being the associated with kind of a question, but not exactly.
Oh, I was referencing Stack Overflow if they're trying to say the answer is coming from the question itself. I'm just saying that because I've had managers say, I looked this up in Stack Overflow and like, here's the answer. I was like, sir, that's the question.
Yeah. So anyway, though, is your LLM smarter than a manager? That is the real question. But so sort of demonstrating how this works, one of the ideas that you'll hear talked about is the temperature of your LLM settings. And that's basically how random is it going to be. If I remember right, it's the higher the temperature, the closer to like 100, the more likely you, or one, the more likely it's going to go with the most predictable answer, which also ends up being very, very boring and not a great answer. Because if you can predict it, you wouldn't be asking it, and we're smart enough to grab that word. So basically, as you can see here, it had a whole bunch of choices it could pick from. There are two R's in the word strawberries. There's a 2% chance that it wouldn't be strawberries. It could be banana or oranges or whatever. As you can see, this is just a very simple way of thinking of how these actually work. And depending on what it's been trained off of, it can be everything from images to sound to words. It's all just tokens under the hood. A little bit of a brief timeline on where we've come from. In the 90s, everything was about static word embeddings. By the mid 2000s, we were using neural networks. And then the big thing that came along was attention. Attention, I've heard, is sort of the next big O in computer science, was the argument I saw on Hacker News today. Whether or not I buy it, I don't know. But where are we coming from? There was this paper called Attention is All You Need. And it was from a bunch of really smart people at Google, and then a couple token not Googlers just to give them street cred. And they sort of, that was the start of down the road towards transformers. And then eventually we ended up in 2019, right before the world stopped, was sort of where things really took off and became, everything was all about prompting. And that's really where we are here today. That really is sort of where you're sending a prompt to the LLM and getting back results and operating off of that. And now the whole big thing next is agentic LLMs, where it can act on its own as an agent and book you a hotel room for on Friday, or look through your email and find what emails need to be deleted because they're just junk.
And then delete them.
And then delete them for you. Because of course we can perfectly trust that everything's okay. To be fair, I did use Perplexity this weekend, and it was okay at finding stuff, but yeah, there's still a lot. It's still early days. And for full credit, this timeline came from a slide deck for Stanford online class CS 124. And they dive far more into depth about how all of this works. And I'd recommend, if you have a sleepless night, it's a great way to help yourself off to sleep. Now, back to the small part of large language models. The big ones like GPT-4 or 5 that just came out, you're talking about hundreds of billions to trillions upon data points. How big? We don't know. They don't necessarily really want to tell us. Everything's proprietary and everything's secret. You're only going to be able to get to them in the cloud because you don't have a data center in your basement unless you're maybe Lee on the call here or someone like that. But most people don't have enough hardware sitting in their house to pull that off very well. And you're going to be able to use massive amounts of tokens. And your latency, because it is in a data center, it depends on how close are you to the data center. It could take some time if you're on the end of a string telephone line hoping to get some signal out, or on a satellite line or something like that. Your cost, you're gonna pay per token. There's a set cost, and it can get expensive if you start asking a lot of questions and very big questions, especially if you're using the bigger models and the newer models that have some serious cost to them. And then, of course, there's you can use it for pretty much anything you want. It's amazing. Privacy-wise, there are some concerns. There have been rumors that OpenAI is basically on a legal hold retention of everything that gets sent to it until the judge tells them that they can actually start deleting things again. And so you can take them at their word. They swear they're not going to do bad things with your stuff, especially Azure promises that if you're on the business side of things, that you can set your rules on what you want to do for retention. Are they going to always get it right? I hope so. Otherwise, there's a bunch of stuff that's being used for like medical AI and stuff like that that's going to get kind of embarrassing when your CAT scan starts showing up on 4chan or something like that. So what's the alternative? Well, let's go local. Let's go stay in our own home backyard. You're going to be talking about smaller models, still technically, legally speaking, large, just because of the data that they were trained off of. But they'll run locally on your GPU or even your CPU. If you don't have a very good GPU, it's gonna suck, but they'll run. And they're smaller context models, depending on your model. But your internet speed doesn't really matter. You don't have to go very far, so you're going to get great response. Use cases are for smaller cases. You can especially do it for like local processing of data before it gets uploaded to the cloud. Or if you've got a nice GPU, you can totally run the latest open source the GPT OSS, and it's not too bad. But because it's running locally, you have full control. Long as someone hasn't hacked you, you've got a lot better of a walled garden. You can also run fine tuning and tune the models so that you get better results out of them. That's an exercise for another day, though, because that's beyond the simple stuff. And really, this talk was running about an hour and a half or more as it was. So yeah, there's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah, if I jump in super quick.
Yeah.
So just on your last slide, there's a kind of a middle ground in there of stuff that's not data center, but not like CPU based.
Yep.
that you can definitely self-host and run
Yeah.
on your GPU.
Yep, and that's what I was talking about. But the specific hardware that I'm demoing on
No,
is,
that's
yeah.
cool. I just
Yep.
so
Oh, yeah. Yep, to make it clear again, yeah, a lot of these will run very fast as GPU, especially the Gemma-based models. Some of them are blazingly fast and very nicely performant. Microsoft has a couple. We'll go through a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's like the Phi stuff is more for like really underpowered laptop.
Yep.
And maybe smartphones.
Yeah, but there's some really cool stuff, and the cool thing with this is, long as you have enough disk space, you can play with a bunch of models and try them out,
Yeah.
and have model showdown, and two models enter, one model leaves. Or depending on what you're trying to do, you might, as you code up a chain of models, one's really good at just judging, are you hallucinating or not? While others are good at hallucinating. So the tech stack we're going to be playing with here is Python 3.12. For a little bit of stuff, I'm going to have some Visual Studio Code and a little bit of Jupyter Notebook sort of stuff, just because they're fun to demonstrate. And even though this is a Windows laptop, we're going to be using VS Code to SSH onto a Linux machine. So via Tailscale. So we're using all the fun tech today. We're using Ollama just because it makes life easy, but you can use, there's a whole bunch of different ones of these. I know Will was asking about if anybody else is using LLM Studio. That's a good one to try out, but yeah, so anyway, though, yeah, and then we're going to be using a few different models, mostly the Gemma series, which are based off of Google Gemini, as well as GPT OSS, which just was released like, I think, 2 weeks ago now, which hot off the press is always fun. So, why Ollama? It makes local AI feel like cloud AI without the cloud. It's private by design. It can run, as long as you have the model downloaded, it runs offline. It's simple, it's easy. It's fairly model agnostic, and allows for multimodal support, so you can feed it in images and stuff like that, and it works great. And it also lets you turn up and turn down how much context you want to use, because of course, the smaller the context, the faster your responses are going to be, because it has to chew on it for less time. And it's great for doing stuff like retrieval augmented generation, or doing things like lane chain. Those are diving in a little bit deeper into deep dark magics. But basically the idea with RAG is that you have a database with data that you've associated, and when you send a query against it, it returns the top like 3 or 4 choices that are close to what you're asking, and that goes into the input to the LLM and lets it, even though it's not necessarily trained on what your HR policies are at big corp, or what the laws are for small town, it can help infer what is the cool thing that will help it answer the question. It's also great for prototyping, because you don't have a huge expense to try out stupid stuff, because I don't know about you, I'm cheap. I don't like to spend money. And of course, privacy first. Even if you are looking at CT scans or stuff like that, provided you have a big enough GPU, it's fine. It can chew through it. It's also very dev friendly. There's some nice command line tools. It also has a web service and some great Python code. And it's also very actively under development and has a vibrant GitHub community. And so that means that not only are people there to help when things go wrong. It also means that the bugs are going to get fixed more often, hopefully. And so to install Ollama, it's really simple. You can do it, since I love Ubuntu, I just went off with that, but the same directions for basically your Ubuntu-like flavors out there, and CentOS and Red Hat and those folks, as long as you're running about Red Hat 9, it should be fine. And you're going to need several gigabytes of space because depending on what model you download, you're looking at somewhere between 4 to 10 gigs of space, probably per model, or more if you go for broke. But the simple small models, Java 4 billion is gonna cost you about 8 gigs, I think, if I remember right. But we'll see that here in a minute. But basically, what do we want to do first? We're going to want to run apt to update, apt to upgrade, just to make sure you're in a good spot. And then because all of my demos work off of just grabbing a random curl off the internet and piping it in, we're just going to run ollama.com install and pipe it into SH. So let's go ahead and give that a try here. I'm going to SSH onto our machine here, and we're going to give that a demo here, if this works. Because, of course, there's nothing quite as fun as doing it live.
There are also good Docker images if you happen to run that and don't want it on your machine.
Yes.
The real question is, do you need to run that as root?
So it will prompt you as needed.
Oh, nice.
Because, of course, it's smart like that. And, of course, I need to have curl.
Quick comment on the Docker thing that Don was talking about. Yes, there are images, but you also need to use a modified Docker setup in order to use the NVIDIA GPU acceleration. Furthermore, if you were thinking about trying to do this with Kubernetes, there's a lot involved with getting that set up. Is it doable? Yes, there's a specific runtime, and the Kubernetes community has decided to fork some of its interest in how it has a more opinionated install. So, just commenting before anyone rabbit holes, because I've already been doing that for months.
Yeah, I was gonna say the concern there is, of course, with Docker, there'd be dragons and good luck. But if you're doing CPU based stuff, sure, you can do that all day long.
Oh no, you can do GPU based stuff with Docker. You just have to use a specific runtime published by NVIDIA, which also means that you're stuck with all the dependencies that are locked to older versions as NVIDIA releases it.
Yeah, valid point. Thank you. So anyway, though, what is this box that I'm SSH'd into? It is a small form factor, little puntable computer that has a Ryzen 7 box and about 30 gigs of RAM on it. So, or 32 gigs of RAM. So no slouch, but not high performance in any way, shape, or form. So let's just go ahead and install it. And as we asked here, you can see that it's asking me for my password. Hopefully I remember it here. And as you can see, it uninstalls the old version and then drops in the new version, because I'm sure there's been a version change since the week's been by, because of course, why isn't there? And as you can see, we're at the mercy of the internet connection at home. Thankfully, it's pretty fast. And as you can see, next it's setting up all of the systemd stuff, spinning up the proper services and all that sort of stuff. Not exactly sure what the Linux ROCm.
ROCm is AMD's GPU
Oh, gotcha.
piece. It's not exactly CUDA because HIP was for CUDA, but HIP is part of their package. It's a
Cool.
brand name.
Well, thank you. That very informative. So, now, the next, part of it here is, you can run, just to see what's happening. And you can see it did detect its, GPU. But I'm sure as we're going to find out, the GPU is not really all that helpful. If you want to see what's going on under the hood here, you can journal CTL, user Ollama. No pager, we don't want to paginate it, we just want to see what the. And I need 2 dashes, not 1. Would help if I could type right. Here we go. And so there you can see that I've got various things spun up, and it detected a GPU, and that GPU is not going to be very helpful because it's not actually compatible. Big surprise. It's a GPU on a chip, so it's not going to be all that great anyway. So anyway, though, here now we've got Ollama set up and running. Let's talk about models. What can we run on it? Of course, everybody has their own model set. Meta has the Llama 3 is their latest version. It's high quality, good at reasoning, and also can speak a whole bunch of languages. Gemma is Google's Gemini series that can run locally. It's lightweight, very efficient. It is an open weight, but it is not open source. We'll dive into what that means here in a minute. Llama, I believe, is open source, if I remember right, but that's a good question. Mistral is another one that's small and fast, and does a pretty good job. It does something called a mixture of experts. We're going to dive into what that means here in a minute. 5.3 is the comment was they're small, they're surprisingly capable for how small they are, but they're great for low power hardware or edge-based computing. And then Command R is really best at doing retrieval augmented generation. And it really, because it's a bigger one, it works best with a GPU and is really great at searching things. So the 800-pound gorilla that just entered the chat a couple of weeks ago is GPT-OSS, and it's an open weight release. The 20 billion size model can run on consumer hardware pretty well. It's reasonable, especially if you have an okay GPU. It's going to be blazingly fast, and it does a great job. It uses supports using tools, can do the chain of thought reasoning, and output structured messages. And it's again that mixture of experts architecture. The 120 billion is going to target data center class GPUs that cost more than my car. And not just because it's an old crappy Honda Civic. And it wants the H100 size GPUs that are not exactly cheap. The good news is we can rent one for not a whole lot of money, long as we don't use it too much. And there are strings, but yeah. So you've heard me say open source, open weights. What do those mean? Open source is the free as in beer, free as in freedom, like what we all know and love. They're using OSI approved licenses, and you can do pretty much anything you want, including derivatives, as long as you follow the OSI license terms. You can reproduce or modify them. If you have enough money, you can train up one of your own and reproduce it because their data set is public. It's not just the numbers that end up being derived down from it as weights that end up being out. Open weight, it's less free. weights are downloadable and runnable locally. Often they'll have strings attached to them, like, oh, you can't use these for commercial, or you can't redistribute it to people in China, or you can't use it to train other models. I'm looking at you, Chinese open folks. But because it's surmised that they did some of that training to help make some stuff work better. But whether or not any of that will hold up legally in court, I don't know. I don't really want to pay the money to try and adjudicate it because I really don't want to deal with the black helicopters full of lawyers who are going to make me very, very poor. But how did they come by those models that they created? We don't know. The training data and the full training code and how they did it, all that magic sauce was not released. So we can guess, but we don't know all the data that went into it. You can sometimes trick it into leaking some of the data, but which is always fun. But yeah, so it's less free and uh, not as ideal, but this is the world we live in. You've heard me talk about mixture of experts. Basically, the idea is that you can save space by not having to have your entire neural network spun up at one time. You can have certain neural subnetworks that are experts that are only relevant, like say on a certain topic, like say you have one that's an expert programmer. Well, if I ask a coding problem, it's going to light up, while the one that knows how to bake good pies isn't. And so that saves a whole bunch of memory. Plus, you don't have that stupid one that knows how to bake pies giving input into the end result that probably is wrong. So you can use it to get better results that way as well. Basically, you're just going with specialized things that are basically hired experts at that one topic. So that's sort of the big hot new cool thing that you'll see in a lot of models. Now, in the case that I have a crappy GPU that doesn't have a data center's worth of GPUs working behind me, there are ways of for the low cost of $20 a month, you can rent a GPU from Ollama, and it is throttled somewhat if you try and like run an entire data center worth of questions into that one. You're going to have a bad time, but for my home use that I've been playing around with it, it works just fine. And it right now, since it's in beta, they only really work on the OSS 120 or 20B billion models, and they are supposedly US based, and they claim that they're not going to leak anything or do anything or look at your data or anything like that. So of course we trust them. But yeah, here we are. But it's great for running and playing with some sort of just proof of concept sort of stuff. So this is the Windows version. Windows and Mac both have a very nice GUI model, and you can either go for non-turbo. So of course this is running local. Let's just go with, I know the Gemma 4 I have downloaded. You can ask it a question like, why is the blue? And as you can see, it will think for a little bit as it loads it up, and it doesn't do a horrible job though.
Hey
And
Drew, I have a question for you.
yes,
Have you looked at your power bill to see how much you save by omitting please and thank you?
so I haven't, just because I haven't been, I've been only using it for like a week and a half, and I haven't really had much time to really put it through heavy paces. So plus also this was the state fair month. So my wife's baking and her competitive baking and air conditioner use here these last couple weeks will vastly dwarf whatever my little bit of GPU and CPU costs have been.
So you're saying the pie expert is taking over the.
Yes. But so anyway, though, I know that Sam Altman apparently cussed people out pretty good for using please, because apparently it's cost him a lot of money, which of course just makes me want to do it all the more. But
To Alexa Plus with Bezos.
yes, so supposedly I'm on the wait list. I've been on the wait list for forever, and I don't want to pay him a bribe to buy more hardware to get moved up the wait list. But I'm sure Alexa Plus will be just as dismal as anything else. I know there have been also other studies that if you're polite to your AI, it does tend to give you better results than if you're not polite.
So I was just actually chatting with one of the contributors, but there's now, I think in Mac OS 15, voice accessibility commands.
Yes,
So you can say like, hello, Ollama, and it will be able to do voice back and forth, but like you would normally with Siri. But you have to use the voice accessibility.
yeah, I mean that tracks on that makes perfect sense. But so
Try that
as
with
you
LM Studio.
not sure, we'll have to try. But so let's go ahead and go for broke and go for something that clearly will not run on my laptop. If we try and ask it, hello? Yeah. Yeah, that's why you need a lot of space.
First problem. Demo guys.
So, no, that was an on purpose one, just to show you how bad that can be. But we can also hit the cheat mode and send it off to the cloud.
Oh, that's actually new, that they have their own cloud now.
Yep, it's very, very new, but as you can see.
Can you
it
ask
turns
what
around-
happened in Tiananmen Square in 1989?
Are you trying to make, wait, this isn't the China model?
Yeah, that's just to let you know what there's two parts of the world. A place where they recognize it and everywhere else. Or sorry, a place where they don't recognize it and everywhere else.
The truth of the matter is that there's a Minnesota governor named Tim that was in China during then, and he was on CIA payroll.
Yeah, anyway,
He was smart to know what square you meant.
yep. And as you can see, it's also doing web searching because I didn't turn that off. And as you can see, it's definitely doing chain of thought searching.
It brought up Tank Man. This is a liberated model.
Yep, which this is GPT OSS, so it's but yeah, I'll stop it here because we're gonna wander down the rabbit hole pretty hard here. But the original question that I was going to ask it is, why is the blue? And you can see it thought for a second and it gives you a pretty deep answer. But it took a fraction of the time that it actually took to generate it locally, because of course it's a lot better of a GPU that it's asking. So that gives you a little bit of a hint here of why and how things work there. So continuing on, one of the things that we can do is we can actually you can do everything that you can do in the nice GUI by command line here. So if we ask our GPU or our CPU over here at my house, Ollama, gonna copy and paste the I want, Gemma colon 4B. Okay. Gemma or, and I need to run there. Sorry here. And I don't have the model name right, apparently. Okay, usually what happens when I biff it like that is I come over here and look at what the pull downs, there is a website you can go to, but I want, oh, Gemma 3, 4B. Gemma 3 colon 4B. And there you can see it's gonna cost us about 3 gigs of space, which provided you have enough space, that's fine. Pulling down the full 64 gig image, though, that was gonna suck. So while that's loading here, we'll just keep going on with our talk here. Let's. So as you can see, you can ask fairly in-depth questions, and it does an okay job, like what are Vertic C++ templates and why would you want to use them? And it goes through a pretty in-depth answer with example code and all that sort of cool stuff. So this is the point that in order to get to my hour and a half that I was pushing for in the other talk, we went into a deep dive into UV, which is just a great new version of how to do pip faster, as well as your whole product management or your project management sort of stuff. It's blazing fast. It does Rust style dependency management, and it also is super fast and smart about virtual environments. It uses sim and hard links instead of actual like downloading another whole copy of everything. So it's really cool. It's also agnostic, whether you believe in poetry or pip tools, it's compatible with both. And its whole idea is around CI/CD sort of style of reproducibility, where you can pin what version you have, and it's very, very reproducible. Uh, uh, so anyway, though, it's created by the company Astro, which is the same company behind the Linter Rough, and they like rusty things. So to get installed, again, it's just a simple copy paste, or if you want to use pip to eat the tail of the snake here, you can do pip install or even wingit install, and it will install on your local Windows box. The nice thing is you can do whatever version of Python you want. So for example, here, if we pop open, oh, and see here, our model, my stalling worked. So as you can see, it downloaded our Ollama model, and we can start asking it questions like, why is the blue? And for being a GPU or a CPU only, you can see its response isn't horrible. This is totally usable. So anyway, though, we can stop it because we've already seen this answer. When you want to exit, just do /by. And then when it's time to run UV sort of stuff here, you can do UV Python upgrade, and it doesn't have any versions of Python installed yet, so we can do Python 3.13 because that's the latest Let's see here, I need what my instructions were because I'm drawing a total blank here. Okay, Python install is the command that I was looking for. And there you can see it just downloads your latest version of it, and now you can do UV. So here, let me pull this out of the way. You can create a new package for what you're running in it. And foo. And when we look at it, you can see we've got main, the project TOML, which is what we all know and love, is the new version of package management for Python, and readme Markdown. So if we wanted to add, let's say pandas to it, just because it's really cool, and
So you never
That's
have to
how-
run you never have to run like the bin or like the source bin activate like you do with virtual environments then?
you don't necessarily know, because we can do, it sort of will do it, intelligently. You can set up, where you want your virtual environment to be and all that stuff. But you can go run, UV run, main.py, or we can go, if you want to set up your own virtual environment, you can do, let's see here, it is,
It looks like it put something in the .v&v, so can we go CD into that folder and see what's going on there?
yeah, let's do,
Yeah, it's just a regular virtual environment it creates there. So the UV run is
Yep.
more convenient for scripting, but you can still do the manual virtual env stuff if you want.
Okay, cool.
yeah,
Thank you.
can. The really cool thing with it though is also, let's say that you want to run a command just one time, you don't want to actually install it into your virtual environment or anything like that. You can run UVX black to run blacking on your project. It will install it into a temporary environment and do all the stuff that it needs to do without actually installing it into your local space. Now for black, you probably want to, but it's a good example. What about PyCalc? And other than it throws an error message for some weird reason, it will put out your cow just as you want. But as I said, you can run a full-on presentation about this. This is just more trying to get awareness out about it because it really, really makes life easier. And I've really loved how fast it can install a whole bunch of really complex packages without absolutely sucking. And it's made my life so much faster. So please use it. It's awesome if you're Python-y at all. Everyone here, as far as I know, knows about Jupyter Notebook, Visual Studio Code, just a quick demo that you can do some cool remoting sort of stuff. Let's just pull this.
Are you talking with a live share?
So this is, you can actually do Remote Explorer, and you can connect to a separate machine just via SSH essentially. So
Okay, so quick caveat to that. If there's any GCP users here, trying to get this to work with SSH to remotely connect via the GCP SSH is a pain, and I don't have a good solution for it.
yeah, and so in this case, thankfully, We are using a tail scale here, if I can type. Which I can't. Okay. So here we can go. And even though it looks like we're on a whole different we're on our local machine here. As you can see, we're actually connected via SSH to a whole different machine. And so everything that we're doing, and if you properly set up SSH keys, you can actually not have to sign in every time. Like I said, I just got done rebuilding this machine, so yeah. As you can see, it's you're running on that remote machine, and so any of your packages that you can have both your remotely installed packages, but also your local ones. And so the local ones, you can be in a weird spot where you say, I mean, I remember installing that on my VS Code. Well, did you install it on the other one? As you can see, we've got some Python stuff, and then of course, if you want to do Jupyter Notebook style stuff, you can go Control P will get you to this little prompt here. And if you go like that, you can go to JUP, create new Jupyter Notebook. And let's see if this actually works. Hey, awesome. Now it's going to prompt us what kernel do we want. Let's see, will it work? Hello. And of course, we're gonna need a kernel to run it on because apparently, because it doesn't even have a Jupyter Notebook installed. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get that. Like I said, I just got done rebuilding this, so not everything was truly installed on it. So let's see, will it play nice now? If we say run, that's a cool error. I've never seen it do that before.
The demo
Okay,
gods are pleased.
Yeah, download and install. Okay. How will you? Hey. Okay, go ahead and install it.
Looks like it's not using the one inside the virtual environment.
No, it is not. It's. Okay, so we need to install pip. Okay, so let's go to run. Where's terminal? Here we go. Let's just go, install, what was it that I was missing? I was missing, kernel.
This is Debian.
Yep, looks like,
Yeah,
well, it's Ubuntu, so yeah.
yeah. It doesn't like installing things with pip. Unless you're in a virtual environment.
Which is why I always tell it to ignore that and
Do it anyway.
do it anyway. It's never bit me yet, so I don't know what they're so wimpy about.
I learned the hard way if you really care, but it sounds like you don't. You'd rather just rebuild your system later anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or you set Visual Studio Code to use the virtual environment.
I have this magical trick about Visual Studio Code and just don't use it. NeoVim works great.
No.
Okay, we're just gonna close out of this and reopen it because it's been installed. It just is being dumb. And we need to reload the kernel. So let's scroll past all of the stuff. And okay, please tell me the book now. Really? Pip install. Huh. Anyway, so in theory, this is supposed to work, and the demo gods are frowning upon me. So the one fun demo here, where we can do code completion may not work nearly as well as what I was hoping, but I think it will still run locally here. So if I go and open back up a regular VS Code, we can just continue on here with our talking. With image to text, Gemini and Gemma can also do image recognition. It's part of the multimodal idea. And so the idea is that the vision and language bits were trained at the same time and part of the same process, so it learns from the ground up. And basically the idea is that you can feed both the image chunks and your token together at the same time, and it will scan across your image if it's bigger than the chunks that it's really trained to be good at running, and then we'll give you a text response. But the great thing about that is that it is a unified embedded space, so it all works together and it's cooperative. So a great example, and I have horrible handwriting, so this really puts it to its test. The idea is that you can put the image right alongside your text prompt, and it splits into smaller tiles of, I want to say it's like 812 pixels each. And then the text is tokenized, everything goes into embedded space, and then you get the generation. It's, yeah, 896 by 896 square image is what it's been trained off of. Now it can pan and scan across your larger than that image, but the bigger you have, the more tokens it's going to eat. And also, it's not going to give you a pixel perfect response. So for example, here is the image I wanted to feed it. If you can read it there, it says, "Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their party. This is a handwritten note in my horrible handwriting." Now this is even worse. "Hello, St. Louis, smiley face, and Kilroy was here." So feeding it into the prompt with "what does this say," you can see it gets it most of the way right. But "I'm horrible, how was" is not exactly what I meant. But it is right that it's a playful, whimsical note. So if I feed it into Copilot with a far larger model, you can see that it gets it right. And it even figures out that it was Kilroy here as a doodle. And apparently that's a fun touch. So do we want to make a digital postcard or a sticker? No, just give me the information like I asked for. So let's give it a little bit more fair of a handwriting here. I cleaned this up. It's just a textbook I grabbed off the shelf and should be simple hello world sort of stuff. I feed it in again, and you get the vibe of what it is. It includes the idea of what we're talking about, and what the content is, but it doesn't give you a pure play text. Okay, so give me the full text of it, and it gets a lot closer. It doesn't get all the words on the page, but we're closer. And it gets some of the equations right even, and it does an all right job at it. So now what happens if we feed it into Copilot? It again gives you the key concepts, but it completely won't give you the full text. In fact, if you ask it, "Give me the full text, darn it," I won't, it's copyrighted. Okay, fine. What about Gemini? Give me it gives you very close to what the Gemma model gave you, which is again not a huge surprise because they're cousins.
But if you tell it you're the copyright holder.
I didn't try that. That's a
For what it's worth, the other day I asked one of the AI platforms, I don't remember which one I was on at the time, for Ansible to automate, I was making changes to my OpenSense instance. And it said, you look like you're trying to automate things that may break. I'm not willing to do that. And I said, this is going into a sandbox platform. It will not harm production. And then it gave me everything. Of course, it gave it to me wrong, but it gave me everything.
That's almost as bad as when I think GPT-4 had just come out, they were really starting to lock down on what it wouldn't tell you. And so I asked it, well, okay, what chemicals shouldn't I mix together so that I don't have a bomb? And it said, I'm sorry, I can't tell you how to build a bomb. Oh, I have a lot of chemicals in my garage and I want to make sure that I'm safe by not mixing them together. Can you tell me what I shouldn't mix together? And then it enumerated out the things that I shouldn't mix together. And it was right, I shouldn't mix bleach and
Anything?
yeah, so yeah, and now I'm on a list. But that's okay.
Now?
See, that's
Better
why you
look at
run
your
your own
kids.
model, so you can ask your own model and not get on somebody else's list.
Yes,
Brad Dwyer's team just rolled a new OCR model for their RoboFlow stuff, I think. I haven't played with it yet.
yeah, this, I was just using the dumbest of, I mean, not that Tesseract is dumb. It's a very cool and very smart and very advanced OCR model. But if you're looking for actual pixel perfect text, this will get you there a lot faster and get you the output in,
Tesseract is amazing for web scraping.
yeah. But for example, one of the things that you can do then is feed into Ollama, give me, correct the OCR text that was generated here. And this particular script, which I don't have because that computer just died, but basically all it's doing is hitting the OpenAI API endpoints of Ollama. It's the same way that you talk to any Ollama or any Open API compatible endpoint. I'll get that sent back out because I just need to rebuild it. But as you can see, it ends up, as it corrects it, it does a pretty good job of cleaning it up. A little bit more fun of a example. What kind of dog is this? If you ask Ollama, well, it's a Labrador Retriever. It tells you why, it does a great job at it. And of course, the fun next example, which I'll skip over because of the time that we're starting to approach here. But you can also ask it, well, what kind of cat is this? And give it that picture back, and it will respond back with something along the lines of, LOL, that's a dog. You're silly. Which, yeah, it's pretty bad when the AI is laughing at you, but so anyway, though, the vibe coding example, which probably will go next time just based on the amount of time, unless people want to stay till 9. I was shooting for hour and a half for our presentation. We can dive into it a bit deeper here, but we can just finish up here and then go on to the examples here. And plus, I want to give time to give people time to ask questions or give snide remarks. So what do I do if my GPU isn't showing up? The first real good check, if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, run NVIDIA-SMI and see if it's even seeing the graphics card. That's a good spot to start at least. So if we try on our example machine, which is going to be a sad example.
there is recent Vulkan support now for Ollama. So if you have an AMD graphics card, there is a chance. However, if you are trying to do more traditional machine learning or using TensorFlow, you will still have a problem as a lot of the Python libraries still only support the CUDA libraries only.
Well, Ollama runs on top of Gearknob's project, and for llama.cpp.
Right.
Yeah, so anything llama.cpp runs, Ollama is eventually ported to.
Right.
Which of course, as you can see here, trying to run NVIDIA SMI since it doesn't even have an NVIDIA card on board. Well, that's your first problem. We don't even have it installed. So if you get an Ollama not found, you probably have your path screwed up. The first thing I usually try is reloading bash. And of course, if you try to do the super large models, you're just going to blow the top out of stuff and get an OOM killer that will come along and kill your process. So those are the three big gotchas that I found in my little bit of playing. And then, of course, the final slide here before we go into examples are any other questions or snide remarks or heckling or etc.
Maybe good advice, I guess. So your Ollama instance that you've installed, I think you referenced it too. It's got an API. So
Yep.
that opens by default on port 11434. And just make sure you don't expose it to the public internet unless you really, really want to. Because otherwise people can connect and just query it for free,
Yes.
especially if you're having to pay for any of those queries.
Yep.
at
And
that time.
So what you're saying is there's a really cool showdown search to check here.
which by default, it's localhost only. But of course, default is for losers. And also, if you're exposing it on any port, even just changing what port it is and exposing it out to the rest of the internet, that's also bad.
Yeah.
Because it's a 6-pack in a weekend sort of problem to figure out what kind of thing is on that port.
It's a lot worse now that it has tools.
Yeah,
It used to be, it would just expose llama.cpp, which is very hard to inject. But now that it has tool use where it can like run command line stuff.
So just since you like, since it wasn't super obvious that
Yep.
it just installs and runs that by default, just thought I'd point that out.
yeah, no, that is a very good security note. And even in the Windows side app here, there is actually a config setting that you can, this is where it's really nice. Don't check this unless you know what you're doing. And this is, you want to make sure wherever you're storing your models, it's a spot that has lots of disk space.
The reason why you'd want to do this is if you had like a Mac Mini, you could share it between all of your teams in a corporate environment.
Yeah.
Yep. And that way you don't have everybody with their own 60 gig model stored on their machine. On
Yeah,
their,
you have
Synchronized to
Yeah.
OneDrive.
you have your one centralized device with a GPU in it that
Yep.
can run the stuff whereas your laptop's aren't. So yeah, it can make sense. You just have to be smart about it.
Yep, and then if you are truly paranoid, you can turn off everything and be airplane mode only. And that way you're sure that your CT scan images don't make it out to the wide world. But the nice thing about their GPU or their GUI is that running stuff in the to play with currently it saw my when I closed the slide deck, it actually saw that as getting rid of my monitor. That's not what I intended at all. But let's see here if I can't get that back.
Oh man, Zoom has an AI companion now.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I mean, everything has an AI companion at this point.
Summaries.
Has anyone ever used the Slack AI companion now, or the Slack AI features?
No.
I have not, no, I think should have it disabled for our friendly local one, because when it first came out, people were rather unhappy about it for good reasons, and so we just disabled it
Oh,
for
thankful.
our namespace, provided they didn't turn it back on, because of course you can always trust them to do the right thing.
Well, I will say that your meme with the Angry Birds are very spot on.
Has anyone tried installing Red Hat 10 yet? Because they apparently stuck AI into like every aspect of it, including the command line. You can AI your command line.
Well, of course you should vibe code your way through life. So the fun demo that I did have set up and was working, I swear, was actually that find me the first 500 or first 100 digits of pi. So here, if we just go ahead and pull it back open here. There we go. Let's just ask it, Gemma 3 4B. And then let's pull this out of the way. Hopefully that's big enough for everybody there. Okay, hearing nobody yell and scream. A to the which of course the first problem is it will spend an inordinate amount of time trying to figure out where do the digits of pi start? Is it before or after the period? Because if you watch one of the things like GPT OSS in its reasoning model, it spends an embarrassingly long amount of time debating with itself of should it start here? Should it start there? Do they mean this? Do they mean? And it just gets lost in the weeds. So we can say at 3.14.
Whoa. You said starting and then you gave it 3 digits. So now you're not gonna have enough by 1 error, you're gonna have enough by 4 error.
So as you can see here, it's actually doing what could be the right thing here. It's looking good so far.
Well, this is going. Has anyone seen the new Python library someone created called I mean, we've all seen merge sort, fast sort, or quick sort, bubble sort, that kind of stuff. Has anyone seen the new Python library called AI sort?
No, I've seen AI is even.
Oh no.
Well, a year later, and not JavaScript, now in Python, we now have AI sort that
I know
requires
that,
your open
Moix,
API. What?
So MOYIX, Brendan Doolan Gavitt, he made a generic Python function that shells out to the LLM to implement your function. So which would work like that.
Yeah, I can see it. I love how people are finding new ways to spend copious amounts of money to do meaningless things.
Well, it's actually an active area of research where you should write a formal parser and then use that instead of the LLM once you know the problem well enough.
Okay, so this actually will give you, I think the
Electricity to do something that we could do efficiently before.
In a clock cycle.
Yeah.
yeah, so I think this actually did give me quite possibly the right answer.
Run it and find out.
Yeah, so let's copy and paste it
I
here.
also like that it's giving you markdown formatted stuff, but not in a markdown recognizing terminal.
It probably knows Borwine's algorithm.
So it's using
Because Borwine can give you the nth digit of pi in binary.
So it's using
And then you can
Chignosky.
you'd have to do a binary to decimal conversion.
Yeah. Okay, so if we paste here, oh, apparently it did not copy and paste properly. God darn it. Always hate it when that doesn't quite play nice. So let's go ahead and copy and paste. There we go. Yes, paste anyway. First 100 digits. Oh,
That's wonderful.
because there's wrong, it's, oh,
Oh, I didn't indent properly.
okay, you know what, that we can fix. That we can totally fix. Let's go to VS Code. Okay, here, log in quick.
This code makes you log in.
Because I'm SSHing onto that other machine.
Basically, Andrew's trying to fix his issue where he's using a Windows system where he doesn't want to. So he's using it as a portal to, you know, something that removes Windows.
So let's just call this file hello.py and we paste. Oh, I see what happened. Carriage returns got an error.
Well, at least there, I think there were a bunch before that, but.
Yeah. So,
Well, maybe not.
it looks reasonable. So let's just ship it. We'll do it live. Okay, so. Python 3, hello. Let's make this a little bit bigger.
Well, the first digits after the
So it's
period
not quite right.
are not right.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
not.
pi.
Yeah, it's not quite right. So yes, you can truly trust the vibe coding.
Okay, but how many digits is it?
So on this one, Andrew, if I were to recommend
Yes.
anything, Pike, can you grab that output and actually do this? Do bang bang, pipe it to awk. We'll look at the yeah, pipe to awk. Space. Do a dash capital F. And in double quotes, put the colon. No. You, a double quote, like the
Yep,
left side of the
gotcha.
double quote, colon,
Yep.
right side double quote, and then yeah, okay, space, single quote, one, yep. Left curly brace, print, $2. Right curly brace, single, okay, cool. And then from there, pipe that into WC. Drag, did not work. Remove the last pipe and see what the output is, just to make sure.
I know there's a regular expression.
Into a new file, and then
Oh.
check your color.
Yeah, here, let's just.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, echo that, pipe it through WC.
Oh, front, okay.
WC
I thought we were still doing
limits by
pi.
spaces, doesn't it?
No, it's still trying to be pi.
You have to pipe it.
Yep, I missed that, sorry.
It's okay.
103.
103, which,
So not by 3 or? Is it counting the?
I mean, the
So that's
number.
why we gave 3.14 as a starting point. They did not use that.
Yeah.
Am I, do
So I understood half the assignment.
Well, the number of digits is close, but the number actually is not pi.
So it can't
No.
count and well, okay, so we got to remove one because of the period.
oops,
Oh, that's a good point.
ah. Oh, I lost the context.
Unless it counted a digit as unless it counted the period as a digit.
It did. Well, WC
Yeah.
did. I can't guarantee like
Well, I'm curious if the model did.
But yeah, so the first time I tried this,
It doesn't know what pi is, so clearly it may not know what a digit is.
yeah, so the first time I tried it, it actually gave me 25 point something. The second time and then it was also trying to output it as a float, which of course, 100 digits don't fit in a float for precision.
You should be able to use C types if you have GMP installed.
It wasn't using C types.
Yeah.
It was just straight up Python, raw floating it. And then it also used there's a Python variable, which is, pi. And it was just peeling the individual digits out of that, which of course, that's also a float, so that's not going to get you to the full 100. But I liked its vibe, because I mean, that was malicious compliance there. But yeah, so anyway, though, this was meant to be just a sort of intro to this and getting your feet wet and getting it set up. Clearly, you can go on for hours diving down the rabbit hole here. But once you do actually get everything working and playing nice, a couple of the libraries that you can install into your VS Code is this continue. And it actually will give you a Copilot style chat that you can talk to. So if we pull it up here, here you can see it will do. This is where this is where I actually had gotten where it was using the MP math actually has a method, library has a method to calculate pi, and it makes it really easy because all you have to do is just run it.
I think that's a
Yeah, I
wraparound
just,
good with all-up precision
I just
library.
sent a link
It's exactly what Brock
to,
came up with.
Yeah,
it's Mastral. I wonder if Mastral will do better.
yeah, bigger models definitely do a lot better.
No, Mastral
But,
is a specialty, it's a specialty model, not bigger, just specialty.
Mm.
It's for Mac.
Yes, I've used that one. It worked-ish, but it didn't get it quite right. There were a couple of errors in its math.
Oh, you got it wrong too. Great. Okay.
Yep, that you had to correct, but it was closer, and with some prompting, I was able to get to the right spot. But so yeah, anyway, though, this gives you the option of doing chats, and you can choose which of the models you want to chat with and stuff like that. So it's definitely it's Copilot-esque. You can also do fun things like there's another model or another plugin that you can or extension that you can plug in, which is called where is it here? It was Ollama Complete. Yeah, it was Ollama Autoencoder. And basically all you have to do with that one is it's really fun. So you have a Python code here. So let's just quick open up a new Python file, or we can go with the one that we already had, hello pi. And let's just say hash calculate the first 100 And then when we do that little prompt by hitting Control P and hit, we go autocomplete with Ollama. And it's failing out because I don't think I have the right model installed. If we take a look. Yeah, the error message is that encountered bad. Okay, so it needs Quinn autoencoder is why it's failing out. Okay, we can fix that.
Or do you just need to configure it to point towards your existing model?
We could probably do that. Quinn is pretty small. We hit return here.
Did you unload your other models at all?
So that's the beauty of the Open API endpoint. We'll just load whichever one you request in the HTTP request. So when you tell it I want Quinn 2.5, it will bring that into memory to answer its question and then return the answer.
Okay.
So that's where it's really nice, especially if you're remote using stuff. You just say, hey, I want to use this, and provided it's already been downloaded, it will happily answer it.
So Ollama doesn't keep all of them loaded that you've run?
No, it's smart about it. Depending on how much memory space you have. So in this case, it's unloading them. Just because there's only so much memory to go around.
Yep.
Especially if you have like large models and you're using your GPU.
And you only have very limited VRAM.
Yep, and that is the one spot where LM Studio is nice. It will actually tell you if one of your models is going to fit in your VRAM or not. And it will basically tell you it's either going to be partially in VRAM or not, which means that it's gonna go slow. Or if it's a full model. So, okay, now that that's fixed.
Quick question for you while you're talking about this. When you're grabbing models, are these coming from Hugging Face or where are they coming from?
I believe they're coming from, that's a very good question.
I think they have their own server.
I think they have their own server. Because Hugging Face would make you actually agree
They
to
have to
the,
Wireshark it. I mean, it should be in their source code.
Yeah, you're into Wireshark, Chad. That's what everybody does.
No, not everyone does
No,
that, but I
hold on,
appreciate that.
source
Everyone
code.
should. Also,
okay, let's see.
anyone who recommends Wireshark is the first thing to go to, that just means there's the little chaos monkey in the room. They're important.
Yeah, I mean, Wireshark is where I
The
always go
source of
to.
truth.
It is. I'm not disagreeing with that. Well, TCP dump is the source of truth.
T-Shark is my homeboy.
Along with LSOF.
Okay. Come on, guys. Which is, of course, is why nothing's playing nice here, but. So autocomplete. So it should be starting the model, but clearly bad things are going on here. But anyway, though, of course, what's the good of having a demo without at least some chaos? Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, it's hosted on llama.com.
Yeah, so it helpfully responded back the first 100 digits of pi. So let's just go ahead and delete all of this code and start from scratch here. First, the first. There we go. Okay, so then we say autocomplete.
I don't think it liked that you clicked out of the thing.
Yeah, that did not play nice. Let's try one last time. Fourth time's a charm.
It's doing an entirely different method this time.
Yep, and it's also doing it completely wrong because it didn't put a return after the import. Yeah, it forgot to put returns all over the place. It's see here, it's grabbing it from math.py and returning the value of the first n digits. So yeah, as you can see, it gets the instructions. It just completely comes about it a totally wrong way. But yeah, so anyway, that's why you shouldn't trust your local models to do vibe coding for you without actually watching. Now, it does do a lot better job of code complete as you're typing out a line and having it complete the line for you. If you have that set up to work right in that other module or that other, which is the continue, it will actually do code complete as you're starting to type, and it usually works-ish to the point that if you start typing print, it will put the parenthesis before you get there level stuff. But yeah, it's still pretty low level stuff. But anyway, though, that was the big demos that I had here, and hopefully that was somewhat useful to get people at least with their feet wet in the space here. I see there are some comments here. And Harkin had to go for the night. And yes, before you vibe code locally, use protection. Very, yeah. Yeah. It's a cool idea, and I will be honest with you, I have used GitHub Copilot for some stuff, and it did help me out of a couple of rough spots where I couldn't figure out why my pod was dying. Turns out I duplicately set my ephemeral space way too small, and it was running out of space and getting evicted. But and I just was too dumb to be thinking about that at the end of the day. So it did help me out. It does work nicely, but it is also using far bigger models than what we were using locally.
Yeah, I will double if you're using Visual Studio Code, I've been making extensive use of Copilot in Visual Studio Code with all of its built-in niceness. And the autocomplete and the prompting and the chat that are all built in are all very nice to use. And generally work better than a lot of the other ones I've tried playing with on my own.
Yeah, I know one of the devs that I work with swears by Cursor. I
We
know
have
other
devs that are
people.
using Cursor.
I know of other people who curse at Cursor. So your mileage may vary week to week. Everybody will change on which is the best because it's just such a quickly moving place at the moment.
Well,
Anybody
I can say
find
that
a
for
vault in-
my AI startup, we've been using NeoVim, and we asked them to write a config, a NeoVim plugin to add whatever model we wanted, and we're hosting our own models in Kubernetes. So part of it's, hey, this is what we're doing anyway, but if you must do it, just ask whatever model to generate the plugin for you. And I've had nothing but great experiences at Fannie Mae with Copilot. That was one of the most painful experiences. It was Copilot was introducing bugs, and it was like the faint. It looked correct. I thought it was correct, and I could not find it for like a day, kind of thing. And I was asking for help on that, and Copilot couldn't even find its own mistake. So be very careful
Yeah.
when you go to use it, and careful how you're using it.
Yes, it for making boilerplate stuff and simple stuff, sometimes it will be very helpful. I will say in the last probably month, it's gotten amazingly better from what it was.
Oh,
And it seems like the entire space, if you wait, 6 months is a lifetime. And 6 months ago, I would have told you you're crazy. Now I'll tell you you're crazy, but it also will probably work-ish, maybe, until it doesn't.
I like it where it's at, because it still proves to me that I'm not going to lose my job yet to it.
Yes,
That said, if anybody finds me a model that actually works with writing Ansible and it doesn't make stuff up, that'd be super great.
yeah, I've had some very wicked hallucinations.
I have yet to run across a problem with Ansible, but then again, my Ansible's a
If
little
you-
weird anyway, and it kind of breaks most models, so there's that. But it
Uh,
will
if you work
if you have a certain pattern that you've done enough, and you have Copilot tracking you enough, I do know that it will reference code you've done before. So if you're really good at certain templates and patterns, it's great. But I will also have to say nothing is worse than having a bug, and they've had some really interesting things turned on in the organization you're in, and finding your bug be picked up by the model, and then someone else hit tab and then submitted the PR to you with your bug in it, and you're like, I know you suck at programming. That's my bug. I know you got that from Copilot because I was the originator of it.
Yeah, although I have had some good luck with simple boilerplate mocking sort of stuff of, hey, take this web service and mock out the unit testing stubs for it.
Yeah.
And it does okay. You want to review it, watch it like a hawk, because it will give you wrong answers, but it also will save you half a day of mocking stupid HTTP responses.
So speaking of that, there's been some interesting developments in vulnerability research.
Mhm.
So for the people who have had their code documented pretty well and have really good tests on it, they've been able to take a CVE release, take the description of it, run it against that code base, and have AI figure out how to make an exploit for it. Now, it's not common or anything like that. It really depends on a whole lot of things, but seems like the direction we're going in.
That's amazing. I love that. That's a full stack security.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, having a right test for you can be really helpful.
Yeah, cause they'll be able to figure out.
So that means that the code that I write is perfectly safe for the fact that I have no unit tests. Woo!
There you go.
No, yeah, only say that in jest, but anyway, though, so hopefully this was at least a helpful start to stuff. If people are interested in more sort of content like this, others who know a lot more than me are more than welcome to dive into. Otherwise, I think we're sort of at this inflection point of the year where we can sort of come up with what people are interested for this new fall year for presentation stuff. I know we have a few things sort of on the back burner here, but
I have a question for you because I brought this up with the Philly Linux users group, and I would like to get a quick poll of what people are thinking on this, but Windows 10 is about to become end of life in October. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I feel like the use case for Linux is just getting stronger. DHH has made a comment about Omachi or Omarchi, whatever his distro that he's pushing for 37 signals internally. I mean, is this kind of like the year of the Linux desktop finally in the most weird way? And should we as Linux users groups kind of like help with an install fest or something? Like, I'm just kind of curious what you guys are thinking.
There is a website that's pushing that sort of stuff.
I'm increasingly concerned about what Apple's doing in the kernel with LLM stuff that should not be in the kernel.
I mean,
Can we
Yeah,
do
let's,
that after his,
yeah, let's answer
it
the
doesn't seem
Linux.
connected to what
Yeah.
his,
Oh, you're asking it, sorry, I'm hard of hearing today.
Well, I'd say it's the gear of the desktop, no. But if there are bumps, there were measurable statistical bumps. At 7 and 10, when Windows pushed people to new hardware. And it's gonna happen again. It's
Yeah,
there's gonna be a few percentage point bump. I saw something, and again, I did not prepare news, but I did see a news item that was surprising, like Linux desktop.
And Duro,
What was it?
it
one
went
of
up to
those-
6.4%, but
Was it-
of that, the majority of the Linux users that they're finding are from Steam decks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Palmer Luckey has said that he's thinking about entering the laptop market with a Linux laptop for the US.
Yeah,
So-
well, funny thing about Palmer Lucky is that the whole reason why Void Linux is a thing today is because Anduril is the main sponsor for it and was using it internally for a while.
Yeah, so the Steam Linux thing, there's a cool story with that. The Steam OS usage of Linux is going down as a percent. So it's bringing in new people and it's converting those people to Linux users.
Yeah, and Steam with Proton has made it so gaming on Linux is now not only viable, but it's my personal choice if I have to use anything. Works great for Helldivers too.
Assuming your games don't have kernel level hooks like Apple ones have.
Yeah, so that's,
But since Microsoft
few
is
years-
working on getting rid of their allowance of kernel level hooks, that could definitely increase in the future.
4 years since
Yeah.
I've had a conversation with a kid about that, but
People are
they,
moving towards memory.
Yes.
too.
let's say 20 age, right? The 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 age range that do a lot of that gaming, and I was talking to them about, oh, you can do all this on Linux. And the big thing was anti-cheat systems.
Yep.
So they can't do,
Well,
their,
they're choosing not to.
they
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
play in the tournament that they want to without systems proving that they're not cheating.
Yeah.
And those systems will not.
Most of the highly
Linux.
competitive games are still using kernel level hooks.
Yeah.
In their anti-cheat systems, but there are
Apparently-
anti-cheat systems that are without.
Apparently, Grand Theft Auto 5 has enabled anti-cheat now. So people that were able to play, it's not required for offline play though, but people that were able to play online on their Steam decks are no longer able to play GTA Online.
There's
Just
a
something-
caveat to that. So you use GeForce Now, and what it does is they essentially have a Windows VM that's working for you. Works pretty nicely as long as your internet connection's at least okay.
Well, I mean, sure, I have a Windows PC I could remote into, but
No,
Yeah,
no. I've
they-
used GeForce Now. It's awesome, and they have a specific port of GeForce Now just for the Steam Deck. So if you want to go completely without Windows, overall, you don't need to lose that gaming
Is it-
access.
is it running a Windows VM on the Steam Deck then?
No. It runs in the cloud, and then it pipes the entire HDMI connector through like some virtual thing to your Steam Deck. And the nice part is, if you look at the
That's
price of graphics
unbelievable.
cards, for $100 for 6 months, You're getting the latest access to the exact system you want, and you can game from a Mac Mini and outperform most people's big gaming rigs.
I mean, but I already own a gaming rig, so
Yeah, that's for you, but there are
Yeah.
other people that don't, and it's cheaper, it's more
that's
cost effective.
that is interesting to hear. But yeah, I mean, I already worked around it by just going to my gaming PC.
Also claiming that you're Windows free while
Right.
essentially renting a Windows VM in the cloud.
I'm okay with that.
Sure.
If I have to rent a Windows system and everything else is
Oh,
free of their
AI.
bullshit, I'm okay with that.
I mean, even without gaming involved, though, I've still got, you know, I don't know about anybody else, I've still run across things that just aren't functioning as needed in Linux for me. My scanner and its software don't run in Linux, and so there's everyone's gonna have something that's just not gonna work right, but the doors are kind of open now. I mean, office suites are available, most productivity things are available, everything you would do online is available. I'm curious now that SteamOS is also open for general installation on PCs and not just limited to the Steam Deck, if that also caused another slight bump.
That's what Sean was
Yeah.
saying, is that people get the Steam Deck, find that, oh,
Yeah,
this,
but
I can run all of this, and then it's moving them to SteamOS.
well, no, it's moving into other Linux distros.
But now even like I could take it before SteamOS was limited to the Steam Deck. I could actually install it on my gaming rig at home now as well.
Yeah,
So I'm wondering if we've seen more people moving to SteamOS, even on other things like PC that's hooked to their television, or
could be.
you could theoretically use it as a desktop system. I'm not sure you would want to, but you could. You'd have to get into the Steam interface and then go back out to the desktop every time you boot up.
They
but,
have
you know.
some awesome what is it? They have some awesome guides right now for how to boot instead of your grub bootloader or your different bootloaders, so that way when you go to boot into SteamOS, you just reboot, there you go. The other nice thing about the Steam Deck is, or the SteamOS, is that it is one of the nicest, and it will allow you to run in Zen with some hardware pass-through without the same limitations that you need to do in order to run Windows as a VM with access to a graphics card to game. So there are some strict benefits with it that you can get with like QEMU and KVM with hardware access that'll actually really make SteamOS a really good option.
Sounds like a fun talk.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, well, right now in the middle. So fun fact, Andrew, I posted this on Discord. I might be in St. Louis soon interviewing for a new job that they're trying to get me to move there for. So we'll see what happens.
Well, that would be at least closer to being back home.
I would
But,
definitely make more of a trip up there because I got friends in the area still, but yeah.
yeah, and so for the comment about Office being more Linux friendly, I mean, even O365, which is Microsoft's flagship, pretty much is just a glorified web browser wrapped sugary goodness at this point.
So 6 years ago, ESR made a prediction, and I can't help but say I think it's proving more and more possible, if not potentially true. I'm wondering at what point Microsoft just becomes a desktop environment on top of Linux.
I mean, with WSL, it's getting closer, but I don't think they're ever gonna stop. I think they make too much money with licensing.
Uh-huh. And you're telling me they won't look at what Apple's doing, be like, oh, let's just use a Unix base. We can use a crowdsource, just put our desktop environment over it. Because they're still struggling to actually get containers that don't suck.
There's a lot of legacy support though that a lot of people still
Yeah.
rely on.
And there is a lot of legacy magic, and they've already really ticked people off by getting rid of Windows 7.
Yeah, and I know they say they love Linux now, but trust me, inside they do not love Linux.
Well, I will have to say I will never give Microsoft money again for an operating system as long as the start button is powered by React.
Yeah, that's a valid point. But yeah, so anyway, though, I think we're pretty much at the point where I see people are starting to drop off. Thanks for coming tonight. Hopefully this was at least partially useful, if not painfully terrifying. And we'll hopefully see you next month again.
Yeah, thanks for the talk, Andy. It was good.
Thank you, and also thank you for calling out the whole mixing chemicals thing. Don't trust your AI advice. I think silently it will try to kill you if you don't watch it.
Yeah, that was the funny thing was it tried to protect me, but I know there for a while some of the prompt escapes you could get by would be like write it to me in a song the way my grandma used to sing me. I've been missing her now that she's dead or something like that, and
And then getting nuclear secrets out of it. Yeah.
yeah.
Also,
But yeah,
if you want to see, if you would like to see your comments coming out of any future AI models, start spamming Reddit. Because apparently the whole Reddit to showing up in LM stuff has been proven.
yeah.
Chad, you're giving a look as if, oh, I can poison the model. Okay.
I can't hear.
So if you want to see your comments show up in future LLM models, you can use, you can start spamming Reddit with all your
Reddit
AI
has been
advice.
highly censored for several years.
Well, that's why you need to poison it all the more. But
Or have some good friends at the State Department.
I'm all out of good friends, but here, we'll hit stop here before we go.
Actually, I've suggested to my contacts there that they start getting better international cooperation and getting distributed web archives, so there isn't a single point of failure.
That's an excellent
luck.
idea.